Hey guys, subscribe for daily knife content. And if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today we've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the brand new 2021 Benchmade Auto Adamas in CPM Cru wear, which is pretty awesome. I'm really happy that Benchmade has decided to go ahead and make that, something that they're doing at least with these and a few other models. Really cool. Thank you so much to Benchmade for sending this in for review. Just full disclosure there. And thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. You can find a link for my Patreon right down in the description. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this knife. This is a big knife. It is a powerful knife. And by the way, this will be linked right down in the description so that you can check it out alongside the mini Adamas, the new mini Adamas, and the new manual Adamas. They are all down there so you can check those out, as well as Benchmade knives in general. I'll make sure that there's a link for just Benchmade knives so you can see everything that they've got going on right now. Overall length of the new Auto Adamas coming in at about 8.75 inches overall. Blade length is coming in at about 3.9. Your cutting edge is coming in at about 3.75. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons here. How about first off up against the brand new manual Adamas? And there you go. I can't tell a difference between these two other than, of course, the automatic feature. So the automatic one does not have an exposed pivot. I'm not really sure why. Probably because of the internals, right? And then we have, of course, the thumb stud on the manual version. How about up against the old Adamas? Here's an old one in D2. Now, lengthwise, same. But thickness, real quick. Yeah, the new one's a little bit slimmer, both in terms of blade and some, well, I'm not 100. I think it's probably thinner because they, the scales are closer together because the blade stock is not quite as thick. Everything else feels, I think maybe some chamfering areas are different. Also, they have these, like this scalloped area right here, which is not present on the older one. There's a few differences. We'll go over that here in a sec. But yeah, lengthwise, there you go. It's just some dimensions that are a little bit different. How about up against the Ontario Rat Model 1? Rat 1, and of course, its little brother, the Ontario Rat Model 2. You can see here the Adamas is a pretty hulking knife. That's Shane Seibert likes to do that, the gentleman who designed the knife. So there you go. And I glossed over that. Shane Seibert is known for robust designs for sure, not just through his Benchmade collaborations, but his own designs in general. Up against the PM2 and Para 3, there you go. Once again, hulking massive monster versus those two. And last but not least, the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and its little brother, the Benchmade Mini Griptilian. So yeah, there you go. All right, let's go ahead and do a hardware check on this guy. Get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the description. So I believe, as is generally the case with Benchmade knives, the pivot is going to be a T10, and that is the case. And then you have a bunch of T6 screws down here. Be careful, make sure that you have some quality drivers. Now, also on top of that, this is an axis lock knife that is also an automatic knife. If you've ever taken apart a Benchmade knife, which I have many times, it's possible, it's doable. You just kind of have to, it's one of those things you have to kind of practice at, right? It can be frustrating. On top of that, we have a coil spring in there in the pivot that has to be set correctly so that the tension's right. If you've ever watched a video of a side opening automatic knife being taken apart, like I watched one of the Microtech, oh my gosh, the Stitch being taken apart the other day. And not that it's made exactly the same way, but there are some things you have to hold in place while you're putting things back together. Not super fun. I would not recommend taking this knife apart, and I don't think Benchmade would recommend that either, but I don't know. I don't work for Benchmade. If you have an issue with your knife, if you're concerned with something, if you feel compelled to take it apart for one reason or another, check with Benchmade first. Do that first. I don't want you guys avoiding your warranties. But yeah, this is not going to be a simple disassembly knife unless you are well-versed in the art of taking apart automatic Benchmade axis lock knives. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. So, despite it being what it appears to be a little thinner than the standard Adamas, it is still definitely thicker than knives like the Para 3. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3, you can see here that it's not incredibly tall. I mean, it's about the same in terms of height, at maximum height, than the PM2 and Para 3. In terms of length, though, it's definitely longer than both. It's also a thick knife. So this is going to be a big knife. This is definitely going to be a cumbersome object for a lot of people. Blade stock thickness. Let's measure the new one and the old one so I can show you guys what I'm talking about here. I think this was probably a smart move. Coming from somebody who does enjoy massive, thick, robust, overbuilt knives, right? When it comes to, you know, practical carry and stuff like that, this was probably a good move. So the new one here, and this is the same with the manual Adamas, is coming in at about 140 thousandths. In fact, I will go ahead and measure the blade stock on the new manual Adamas here so that we can make sure that that is absolutely the case. Sorry, my mic is now dangling off of the camera arm. So if you heard that little blip in the audio there, that was my hand bumping it. Once again, we're coming in about the same 140 thousandths. The old one, I believe, is 160 thousandths, or very close. Yeah, 160 thousandths, which is very close to a Hinder XM18. The old one, you know, the end result there is that the edge comes to a very, very thick geometry. You can actually see the original owner did change the angle here. And it just, you know, it's just really, really thick behind the edge. Now, these guys are not razor thin behind the edge, but they are definitely thinner behind the edge, which is going to help. 140 thousandths is still plenty robust. Plenty robust. But just to give you guys a measurement there, let's go ahead and talk about weight. Sorry, my scale is once again way across the room here. There we go. I'll zero it out. Sorry, we're going to make sure it's absolutely zeroed out. So we are looking at G10. We're looking at steel liners, probably a little bit of aluminum here and there, maybe on the internals, maybe this is steel, I'm not really sure. And then, of course, we have the Cru blade at 140 thousandths. The weight comes in at 6.31 ounces on the automatic Adamas. I will go ahead and weigh the manual. 6.42, a little tiny bit heavier on the new manual Adamas. And the old manual Adamas, coming in at, wow, 7.76 ounces. So they definitely shaved some weight off. And I think it's also because there's a backspacer on this guy. Maybe the internals are not quite as milled, right? There's no backspacer on this new manual one here. And same with this guy, right? I'm wondering if maybe the internals have additional, no, it doesn't look like they have additional milling. Maybe they just, you know, every last little thing is lightened up, you know, but so there you go. The difference between the new, you know, we're looking at 6.3 versus 7.7. They shaved a lot of weight off of this guy and still managed to make it robust, feeling capable, feeling like the Adamas, right? That's pretty cool. So there you go. Have we talked about everything there? I think that we have. We've done the hardware check. Sorry about that. I need to learn not to scoot that anymore because of the new tabletop. Okay, so let's talk about the automatic feature. Wow, that is powerful. Very powerful. It is also a position that you're going to put your hand at, right, because you have to actuate the axis lock to get it to throw. So you're pulling down here to get the blade to release, and there is a lot of tension behind that blade. It's also a pretty big blade, right? We're talking about a nearly 4-inch blade at 140 thousandths. That's a lot of material being catapulted into the open position. So that combined with the fact that it's not a super organic, like once you get this down, you're fine, right? But almost everybody's first experience with an auto Adamas is a little bit scary because it's different than firing a knife that's got a button right here, right? A lot of us who've handled automatic knives are used to that. So our hands naturally brace into this position where you feel totally safe and fortified and secure, right? This guy, little bit different. Even though your thumb is going to the same place, you're also having to pull, or at least you should be, right? People always ask me, can I just pull down on one side of the axis bar or have to pull down on both sides at the same time? I mean, for a while on any axis lock knife, right? Like you can just pull down on one side. But what it does is it adds additional wear to one side or one of those Omega springs, which I don't think is a good idea. I think you should always be doing both. So that's what I do, right? I mean, do what you want to do. If you want to just pull down on one side, you can definitely do that. You can also just pull, and this is a little dangerous, you can just pull down on this side. I think it makes the most sense to pull down on both so that there's equal wear over time on those Omega springs. I think that will probably extend the life of them a little better. In any case, if you're going to do that, it's a bit of an inorganic makes sense. Inorganic hand position, right? Now, after you do it 5 to 10 times, you're probably going to be okay. If you switch to your left hand, you're going to have to do it all over again. I actually did drop this knife. The first time I ever experienced an auto Adamas, I dropped it. This was years and years ago, right? Back when they were D2. Here just recently when I got this one, I was, right hand, I was used to it. I switched to my left hand. Thankfully, I was standing over carpet. And I went to do that, and it flew out of my hand because my left hand wasn't used to it. So, it's not a design flaw. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just something that you have to adapt to, right? Anybody who's not experienced some element of some type of knife, right? If it's their first time experiencing it, it's always a learning process. Once you get this down, it's fine. Man, is the power satisfying, and it makes an awesome noise when it deploys. Sorry, I'm getting it next to the mic. Man, it's cool, right? Do you need it? Not really. Some people might really like it. Just the, ensuring that the knife is going to deploy when you get it out, right? Or if you're working in a super dirty environment that, would otherwise maybe slow something else down, right? And maybe this is going to help you out there. I don't know, right? That's not really my life, but there's a couple of examples. So yeah, the action is fantastic, and it's absolutely locking up completely and totally solid. Absolutely. No blade play up, down, left, or right. So that's nice. There is a safety thing, so you can make sure that it's not going to deploy when it's in the closed position, and then you can also lock it out in the open position. If I can... Oh, can you? Oh, there we go. Oh, is it? That was weird. Anyways, there we go. It works. For whatever reason, I just got lost in which position the thing was in. There we go. So now you can lock it out in the open position. Sorry about that. Got my brain kind of mixed up there. But yeah, you can do that if you want to. I don't know that that's totally necessary, but I've never thought that these safety switches were really in the way of anything, so no big deal. Fit and finish, excellent. I've said this a million times. Benchmade seems to have control over their quality control right now. It's been that way. I've been saying that for probably a year and a half now. And only recently has Benchmade started to send me models. Everything else that I've experienced has come from viewers, right? Unless it was a very, very, very old model, I haven't been seeing the old quality control issues that we used to see a couple of years ago. New Benchmade knives seem to be excellent. I really don't have a problem with them. Lockout's good, centering's good, the bevels, the final cutting bevels, they're all good. Fit and finish overall is great, and that is the case here. I do appreciate this new scalloped area that's different from the old one. I think that's nice. It's not necessarily something that's benefiting, people. Like on this guy, it gives you ever so slightly. I mean, maybe. Does it? Not really. Maybe it's more of a, well... The main thing that I enjoy is that it feels a little bit more comfortable in a hammer grip than this guy. This feels a little bit blocky. This guy, and again, we're looking at, I think, a little bit of difference in the chamfering overall. I think this is a little bit more heavily chamfered. Same with the automatic. We should be talking about the automatic here because the manual will get its own review. I think there's just a little tiny bit of extra chamfering going on the new ones versus the old ones, and just areas like this make it just ever so slightly more comfortable. And also because it's not, because the blade stock isn't so thick, the handle doesn't feel quite as wide, but it still definitely feels robust. So a little bit thinner in the handle, a little bit more knockdown, definitely makes this a more comfortable knife. Not that the old one was uncomfortable. You definitely, either way, you're getting that feeling of confidence in hand, right, and that whole thing. But no, I mean, very comfortable. Ergonomics on this guy, great. I can feel the pocket clip a little bit, but okay, it's actually Benchmade's, it's my favorite pocket clip from Benchmade, so I'm okay with that. Rest assured, though, or not rest assured, just, keep in mind, this is still big, thick, heavy. This is not a knife that if you want to, it's not a knife you're going to be wearing to church in fitted slacks. It's not going to be comfortable, right? It's not going to be a knife that you want to throw into athletic shorts or skinny jeans. If you're wearing regular jeans, you're going to be working outside, you're going to be fine, right? It just depends on what now everybody has their own preferences and tolerances, right? You mean maybe you're like, I've been doing that and it doesn't bother me. If you've adapted to it and it works for you and you enjoy it, then great. For me, this is a jeans knife. This is a relaxed fit kind of jeans knife, right? I want lots of room in the pocket if I'm going to be carrying this, and I'm probably only going to be carrying it if I plan to be doing work outside. But for those of you who want to EDC it and can legally EDC it, which is a big thing, then okay, do what you want. But it is definitely big. It is definitely heavy and thick for sure. This is an automatic knife. It is a switchblade. For those of you wondering, is it classified as a switchblade? Yes, definitely. Automatic knife, switchblade, synonymous. This is definitely both, or that it's definitely that, right? So this is going to be illegal for a lot of people. It's also going to be double illegal because of the length of the blade, 4 inches, right? So keep that in mind, absolutely. This particular variant has the beautiful tungsten coating, which I really like. I actually can't decide if I like the FDE coating or the tungsten coating better, right? Let me get out my mini Adamas here so I can give you guys a look at all 3 colors of G10. The only finish that I don't have is the black DLC finish, but I might as well give... Well, no, actually, I do, because it's in the old Adamas right here. I imagine the new one will look fairly similar, so let's see if we can get all of these on camera here. And then here's the new... Gosh darn it. It didn't quite zoom out enough. Can I get this? Can I fit it in here? Sorry, I just bumped the mic again. Okay, so we have all 3 colors of G10 available, and we have the different finishes that are available between these knives. The DLC, or just the black, the tungsten, the FDE, right? And then we have the black G10, we have the OD green G10, and we have the tan G10. I don't believe that every combination is available with every color. I don't know if they do black with an FDE blade. If they don't, I think that'd be really cool. But you do have options. It's not like you can only get the automatic and the Coyote and the tungsten, and you can only get the large manual and the OD green and the FDE. No. I mean, if you want a large manual and you wanted it to be black with the tungsten blade or black with the black blade, I think you can get that, right? All of this stuff, all the variants that are going to be available coming up, and that may not be all of them, they're all going to be listed down there. So you can go check all that stuff out. But if you wanted to take a look at the difference between the colors and things like that, I figured that might be helpful. There might be a slight variance in the DLC blade versus the old one, because again, that is an older Adamas, but I thought that might be helpful for some people. Moving on here, yeah, the blade looks excellent. I'm a big fan of Shane Seibert's design aesthetic in the blades. He always does the fuller. I like how the Benchmade butterfly looks. I love how this tungsten coating looks up close. That is just beautiful, right? That's just the finish that we've got on this guy. CPM Crewware and Seibert, Seibert knives. Seibert design, there we go. This is a robust blade. At 140 thousandths, I think that's a good thickness, right? We have a very stout flat carrying out to about 80% the length of the blade. Plenty of thickness out to the tip. Despite the fact that this is a thinner blade, there's no part of me. That combined with Crewware, which is really a really tough steel, I don't think you're going to have a problem with that. Crewware is not stainless, so just keep that in mind. But these are all coated, so that's going to help with that. Just, you know, get a coat of oil on it every now and then, and you should be okay. Crewware is going to hold a pretty good edge, and it's also not going to be difficult to sharpen. I think it's just about perfect. Just about, probably absolutely the perfect steel for this type of blade. Also, you know, and by the way, if you want more details on Crewware, better to go check out Knife Steel Nerds. Laren Thomas from Knife Steel Nerds is going to be able to give you a comprehensive and scientific breakdown of steels like this. That's where you should get your information. From what I understand, everything I've read, right, it's because it's not like I have comprehensive experience with this steel, field use or anything like that. From what I understand, this is a very well-loved composition, and this move is largely applauded. The move by Benchmade to go from D2 to Crewware, at least in this model, is being applauded by the knife community, or maybe specifically the Benchmade knife community. So that's pretty cool. I'm really happy with that. It adds a lot of... It helps out because, you know, when we talk about the price at the end, you know, it really helps that this isn't in D2, or, I mean, I would have really been bumped out if they'd have just gone with S30V like everything else in their line. But Crewware, right? I shouldn't say that. Not everything in their line is S30V, but you know, it's just like there's a lot of knives in S30V. I'm really glad they went with Crewware. That's really cool. Blade looks perfect. The jimping is in exactly the right place. You are not super far from the cutting edge. And on this guy, there's no thumb studs. There's nothing in the cutting edge. This is a blade that's absolutely set up and ready to be used. I am 100% confident that there's hardly anything that I could throw at this that is an actual knife task that this could not handle with ease. So I'm happy about that. It's kind of weird seeing it without a pivot, right? So that's the case on the automatic one. But okay, that's just the way that it is. And it's really just the show side, the non-adjustment head, because the adjustment head is on the other side. We have the holes. Some people like them, some people don't. Whatever, they're not really hurting anything. We've got a position to mount the clip on the left hand side, which is great because the axis lock, of course, is ambidextrous, so you can do that. There's a lanyard hole. Great. It's not really in the way. This is Benchmade's best clip. It does look a little bit thin and kind of funny on this knife because the whole body is gigantic and the clip is small. I think it would have been cool if we had the same clip, but maybe just a little bit wider, like if they did like a fat clip version of this, but it's not really a big deal. The clip works just fine. Good retention. The screws are not recessed, but I haven't really found an issue with that. And it does carry nice and deep. That is literally all the more of the knife that's going to stick up out of your pocket. So that's fine. Like I said, you can kind of feel the clip, but not really. It's not, I mean, I'm aware that it's there, but I think I'd have to cut for a really long time before the clip would start to bother my bare hand, right? So there you go. Like I said, fit and finish here, excellent. Lockup is excellent, and centering is dead on. So, pros and cons. It's huge. The big one here is it's huge. It's thick. It's heavy. It is what it is, right? If you don't like that, they make a mini, right? They don't make a mini auto yet. I think it'd be cool if they did, but they don't make a mini auto yet. It's big and thick and heavy. Also, it's a switchblade, so it's going to be illegal for some people. It's also just a long blade, right? Definitely. The handles are comfortable. I don't know that I can't really complain about the ergonomics. I mean, I'm jumping back into it's really, really big and heavy and robust, right? Some people are going to like that. Some people aren't. It's just going to be a preference thing. Outside of that, I think the main issue is the price. Surprise, surprise. We're going to talk about price on a Benchmade. Now, it used to be that like everybody else was, when I say everybody else, like the other major American companies, because this is an American-made knife. Benchmade knives are made in the United States, if you didn't know. The other American companies were in line, right? Or at least by most people's estimations. And then it was like Benchmade. Here comes Benchmade with his price out of nowhere. And everybody, the butterfly tax, right? This and that. Now, Benchmade does still have one of the very best warranties in existence. I've used it before. I think it's excellent, right? I mean... Are they going to cover it if you break the blade? What are you doing with your knife if you're going to break the blade? I honestly don't know if Benchmade covers it if you break the blade or not. But seriously, what are you doing with your knife if you are concerned that you're going to break the blade? Forget the whole you should be using a fixed blade thing. You should be using a different tool. It doesn't surprise me. But SE covers it, right? The SE5 is covered if you break the blade. Well, okay, but I mean, are you gonna break that blade? I think it's kind of absurd to expect a company to replace the blade if you snap it. I've just never understood that. I would say in any situation, if somebody walked up to me and they're like, "Hey, does Benchmade cover broken blades? Because I just broke mine," and they handed me their Adamas and the blade was snapped in half. My first question would be, "What the heck were you doing with your knife? That seems dumb." It seems dumb that you've brought me this broken object. Why? So I don't know. I mean, think what you want, right? Benchmade's warranty outside of that, because I honestly don't know if they covered that stuff. You have to look that up. I think it's excellent. I think their turnaround time's good. They offer the Life Sharp thing. They're really good about hardware. They've always been great about just sending me like clips and screws and things like that. Like if I lose a screw, one time I bent a clip out so bad that it like started to the crease. Right, it wore the steel out because I bent it way out. Got it hooked on one of the things on the side of a flatbed truck one time. Yeah, they just sent me another clip. So that was great. Now I don't know what their current policy is. That was a while ago, right? But I've always enjoyed that. Cru wear, definitely a more premium steel. Definitely gonna cost a little bit more. Their fit and finish is much better now, right? These are all reasons to feel a little bit better about that price. We are still looking at G10 and steel, but this is not, this is a little more polished, right? I mean, the fit and finish here is better than, because people are going to be like, Civivi, it's G10 and steel, it's like Civivi, and Civivi only turns out. Civivi knives are nice. So a lot of those knives that are at the $50 territory are using, nice G10 and steel, right? But there's a little more that goes into this, right? You have to consider the American manufacturing thing. Everything here looks better. There's nothing in the $50 territory that's going to compete with this in terms of overall fit and finish and all the materials together. That being said, it does still feel a little bit high at $306. If you ask me, this knife should be about 250. It should be a little closer to where the manual Adamas is. 250 bucks would seem a little bit better to me. I mean, it's like, how are you arriving at that exactly? Well, it's hard to say because I don't make knives, right? I'm just considering all the competition out there, considering the other American-made side-opening automatics that are out there, provided by Microtech, and like not the Stitch. We're talking about like the LUDT, and then countless knives from ProTech, right? Now, they tend to favor aluminum, but there's a lot of aluminum knives, from Benchmade that, again, are a little higher. So, considering the competition, everything else that I've handled, all the materials and everything like that, the price is way up there. This knife isn't going to be for everybody. In fact, there's a lot of things that's going to keep me from recommending this knife to everybody outside of the price. It's huge, thick, heavy. It's an automatic knife. It's super cool, though. Something I can say for sure is that fit and finish is there. Quality is there. Capability is there. The blade steel is much more agreeable, and I think the move to, thin up the blade stock was a really good move. I'm also a huge fan of all their colors, right? You're a big fan of the Adamas. If you're a big fan of the Adamas, you like big knives, right? You like automatic knives. I think you're going to be super happy with that. That price tag is going to be a lot easier for you to swallow. For other people who are just kind of, I don't know, I'm just looking for an automatic knife, right? I mean, should I go with the, I don't know if that's going to be the best choice for you, right? This is definitely one of those things where it's just not going to be for everybody. It's made well. I like the materials. I'm kind of like, on the price, right? But either way, even if this knife was at 250 bucks, I'd still be like, this definitely isn't for everybody. And it's not like Benchmade and Shane Seibert were like, let's make an automatic knife that's for everybody. No, definitely not. This is very specific, right? I can't speak on behalf of people who, are in the military, but I would imagine that that this would appeal a little bit more to somebody like that, right? But there's a lot of different reasons that somebody might want to carry an automatic knife in terms of utility, right? So, if you're a big fan of the Adamas, you like automatic knives, overbuilt knives, I think this is going to be right up your alley. For everybody else, there's a lot of other stuff out there to consider. In any case, I did really enjoy this. The Adamas is one of my favorite knives in Benchmade's entire lineup. So I was really, really excited to check this guy out. Be careful with the automatic feature. It will definitely surprise you if you're not ready. I think it also comes with a super cool pouch. Right? If you want to carry your knife in a pouch, or you just want to make sure that it's definitely not going to go off, right? You want to carry this off your person and keep your pockets open for other things. This is a nice little nylon pouch, right? It's pretty cool. I don't think there's really anything else that I can say here, guys. Benchmade, thanks again for sending this in to me for review. Please make sure to follow me at metal_complex on Instagram. If you enjoyed this video, by the way, this, again, will be linked right down below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.